Week 4, we finally have our Super Bowl candidates. Unfortunately, it's not who we wanted it to be. We do have to see Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl, but let's
Yeah.
get right into our reaction to the games.
Yeah, Tyler, I want to know what you think of I mean, I just asked you off air a second ago, but what do you think of San Francisco pulling it out in that second half?
I mean, it was impressive. It's exactly what you kind of expect from the 49ers being the better team overall. And especially since Dan Campbell is an emotional coach, which is good for sure, but does have its downsides. And we saw that today. So,
Yeah.
or on Sunday. So
Yeah.
unfortunate for the Lions. It was a very romantic story, but the 49ers, one of my biggest takeaways from them is that they can't keep starting so slow.
Hmm.
They keep having these games where we're like, yeah, they didn't really look all that great. And the
Hmm.
thing is, when you do that, it works because the NFC is fairly weak and they played teams that also are kind of shaky. But you're going to play the Chiefs, and you know why the Ravens lost? Because they started slow.
Yeah.
So I do think they need to be very worried about how slow they keep starting these games and how they are lacking that dominant feature despite being better than all these teams. That the Chiefs could take advantage of that and kind of make this game out of reach pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, I texted you during the game, and I had almost the same takeaway at halftime. I felt like the Niners were running, not that running the ball is bad per se. Like the Ravens were killing Kansas City whenever they ran the ball last week, but I feel like they were running on first and second down a lot, and it was really predictable. And there weren't like a lot of deep shots, not a lot of like explosive plays being had in that first half. And I know Shanahan, his thing is about setting things up for the second half. Like sometimes he'll run a play specific for almost no reason then, but to set up something later. But I just feel like the Chiefs are not a team that you can do that on. And I don't know if that's gonna work against them next week, especially compared to like Detroit was getting blown up in the secondary. And I don't know why they didn't take advantage of that. I mean, this was exactly what I talked to you last week. I was like, Detroit's going to run all over the San Francisco 49ers. And San Francisco has to take advantage of the fact that they can pass the ball. And I don't know why they just didn't do that till the second half.
Refuse. And that's kind of worrisome. I mean, 49ers are so good, but they keep almost like shooting themselves in the foot, but only
Yeah.
kind of so they can still win. It's
Yeah.
an interesting approach. I mean, America's rooting for them, I guess. So
Yeah.
that's good.
I hope
Uh,
so. I hope so.
yeah. Another key takeaway for me was that I think defense is going to win this Super Bowl. If, and it kind of goes into my last point, but if the 49ers start off slow because that Kansas City defense does what it does, and that's shut down opposing offenses, and the 49ers defense can't shut down the Chiefs at the same time, that advantage is immediately going to go to the Chiefs. The
Yeah.
defenses for both these teams have been kind of the winners in this sense because I mean the Lions got shut down in the second half. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So the key will be whose defense is playing better because both the offenses, while very good and having the chance to be elite, aren't necessarily the key to why they're winning the games right now. And so
Yeah.
defense is going to win this championship.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think you said it perfectly. Um, I was watching some film on like the Detroit. I wasn't watching film. I was watching a film breakdown.
There we go.
Okay? I don't watch film. But the Niners also like they did make some adjustments at half playing more man coverage, but they weren't necessarily making run stop adjustments per se. And like you could still get to the edge very easily against the Niners, even in the second half. I'm interested to see how Kansas City takes advantage of the running game because we've seen 2 straight weeks of the Niners just getting absolutely gashed on the ground. And this is really Kansas City's strength right now is running the ball, not getting the ball to the hands of Kadarius Toney and Marcus Valdez-Scantling is an
Right.
advantage for the Chiefs. So yeah, like you're saying, I think defensively it's gonna I think both offenses, are I don't think there's a lot of differences necessarily in how much scoring potential either offense has, but whichever one holds up defensively is gonna end up winning the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really good matchup because of that too, though. So it's very exciting. Obviously, it's not great to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. We keep seeing it. It's the same old thing. But
Yeah,
I mean, the matchup's going to be pretty good.
yeah, true.
But I guess going on to the Kansas City Baltimore game, we've talked about it just a little bit. But the Baltimore's defense was solid. I mean, they were really good. But I think my key takeaways, there were a couple, and a lot of them were about the Chiefs, but also about the Ravens. For the Chiefs, that defense is very, very good. But
Yeah,
something that I kind of have realized with some research and doing something for a video is the Chiefs need this because this elite defense is very temporary. Obviously, you're going to have Trent McDuffie for a couple more years, but L'Jarius Sneed, who's been an absolute stud at corner, is gone this offseason. He's played himself out of a contract that can stay in Kansas City. Chris Jones, gone. They're going to have a lot of these players leaving that are key difference makers. So a defense like this, they're going to have to start succeeding with the draft. Talked a little bit earlier in the week about how Mahomes' contract is starting to ramp up a little bit.
yeah,
And ultimately, this team needs this championship in order to really feel like they are still staying competitive under Mahomes' large contract.
yeah. Because right now that this defense is winning them the game. Like the
Mm-hmm.
defense won them the game. The offense scored 17 points. If Zay Flowers doesn't fumble on the 1 yard line,
Oh,
they're tied with the
yeah,
Ravens offensively. But it's the defense that's holding them in the games. And like you're saying, yeah, there's a lot of there's secondary players who have been extremely good and extremely underrated in slowing down opposing offenses. Probably isn't going to be the same unit next year. And I don't think the Chiefs have the money to like sign significant free agent options. So yeah, I agree
they
with what
don't. They
you're
have
saying.
about like 20 million at
Yeah, but
all,
then they
and it's
but
going to
then
get
they
smaller.
also have to re-sign Chris Jones too,
Which
who's not
will
under
they?
contract. Which is if they do re-sign him, it's going to be a lot of money
That's
because
going to
he's
take up all
like
their cap space.
yeah. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what
Right.
happens. What do you think of Baltimore defensively in that game though?
They were solid. I mean, they did exactly what they have done all year, and that's be an elite defense against any opponent.
Yeah,
They really just showed up. I mean, like you said, 17 points. And part of that is because the defense was on the field for most of the game. The Ravens couldn't get anything going. If
yeah,
this game was competitive, or if the Ravens offense was finally doing what it should and it was leading and running the ball more and taking up more time, I don't think the
yeah,
Chiefs even score 17.
yeah. That's true. I agree that the defense was locked down. I mean, holding Kansas City to 17 was very good. I think it's the lowest they've been held to all playoffs. Which I mean, to be fair, Baltimore came in with probably the best defense.
Yes.
But yeah, it was really the offense for Baltimore that struggled. I was wondering what
Mm-hmm.
you thought of as far as like how much they were passing and running, and I don't know. I just felt like Todd Monken completely changed the game plan compared to what is Chiefs? I mean, not Chiefs, Baltimore football, you know? Because you think of
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore, you think of them coming in and running the ball. And I didn't feel like they were really establishing the run at all, which I'm not necessarily a proponent for, but against I don't think that you should go against your identity, especially when it's working, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of what we saw with the Patriots when they were really good and when they played Jacksonville, for example, when they were good. Teams get scared of these playoff teams that continue to find success in the playoffs and they run away from who they are. And that's what the
Yeah.
Ravens did a little bit. Obviously,
Yeah.
they didn't fully run away. Their defense stayed strong. Their defensive coordinator, McDonald, he was fantastic. He schemed up a great game.
Yeah.
But offensively, the offense ran through Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
And that was something that I took away as well is he's a stud. I know he had that fumble that was very bad for the game, but overall, you can't be mad at Zay Flowers. He had 115 receiving yards off only 5 receptions. He would have had 2 touchdowns had he not fumbled into the end zone. Like all of his issues were like, oh, a rookie mistake, you know? And yes,
Yeah.
rookie mistakes are really sad to happen in the playoffs, but you're putting your whole offense on one guy, and that's Zay Flowers. And he was
Yeah.
standing up to the test as much
He
as he
was
possibly
he was
could.
great. Yeah. I mean, he was your player of the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Rookie
mean
of the week.
he was incredible. I'm happy to have him in Dynasty. Um,
Yeah.
he was good. I hope they use him more, honestly. I don't necessarily think that they should. I do think that they should run the ball, especially with Lamar. I didn't feel like he was as much a run threat as he should have been in that game. But getting Zay Flowers the ball more, I think is going to be really beneficial for this offense next year because he's electric in space and he can do so much.
Yeah. And I think once they again had a weird year where they were playing weird running backs in. And I think in a year where they can finally just sit down and find a running back, and hopefully J.K. Dobbins can come back, or Gus Edwards can be strong, or maybe they
Yeah.
draft a new guy in the fifth, sixth, seventh round. That, of course, is going to be great because he's in Baltimore. And I would love to see them really lean into that running identity more because, like you said, they left it, and all of a sudden their offense is relying on Zay Flowers and Lamar Jackson, which luckily Lamar's good enough and he's proven it this season that you can leave your offense in his hands now that he has a receiving threat. But you rely too much on it, and that's not what your team's been made for. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're playing into the strength of the Chiefs because the Chiefs secondary is where they're the strongest.
Yeah, that I
So
mean that
why
was
all
the
of a
most
sudden you targeting
confusing.
that?
Yeah, exactly. That was the most confusing. If this was like they were playing, the Eagles or
Right.
the Lions, like it would totally make sense why they're leaning into that. But the Chiefs secondary is their best part of their defense.
Exactly. It's the best part of their whole team right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're throwing it. I don't really understand that. But I mean, the Ravens ultimately, they've proved that they can do it, which is good because I think some people could get tired of the whole Ravens hype in the beginning of the season just for them to fall apart. They proved we can contend for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now it's just like the Bills. The Bills have proven multiple times that they can contend. Now it's about getting over that hump and actually doing it,
Yeah.
which is good. It's a different strategy team wise because now you're certain that you have the right guys in the right places. And it's about filling up the weakest links instead of trying to see if you need to make a big change.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
I appreciate that. We'll do our Super Bowl preview next week, right before the big old game.
Sure.
But it is an exciting matchup. We can get some initial reactions on that. Obviously, I'm not excited about having the Chiefs in there. I don't imagine you are as well.
I hate the Chiefs, so
but
and we lost to the Chiefs last time we went to the Super Bowl, so we'll see how this time goes. We'll see.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see really good defensive play, and that's what the Chiefs have been bringing. So that's exciting to me. There is upside for sure having the Chiefs around, and it gives everybody somebody you can root for.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody at every Super Bowl party is going to be like, "Hey, maybe the Niners aren't so bad this year."
Yeah, I hope so though. I the Niners honestly on social media are hated about almost as much as the Chiefs. So
Yeah,
I think the world is rooting for no one. Although okay, I'll say this. I'll say this side tangent. Everyone on social media is like, this is the worst Super Bowl we could have imagined. Don't tell me you'd rather see the Eagles back in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. No one wants that. Absolutely no
yeah,
one wants that at all. So
fantastic point.
yeah, exactly. I'm trying to be objective here, but I'm pretty sure the whole world hates the Eagles too. I've seen so much Jalen Hurts slander on social media with his accuracy competition in the Pro Bowl. Did you see that, by the way?
I heard about it. I was going to look at it before the filming, but I missed it.
It is so funny. Just
Didn't Dan Orlovsky toast him or something?
he had a higher score than everyone. Though to
Oh
be
my
fair,
god!
the Pro Bowl quarterbacks this year were shoot, what's that? It was NFC wise, it was Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, and Jalen Hurts. and that was NFC. AFC, it was Tua Tagovailoa, Gardner Minshew, and someone else, man.
I
It was
love Gardner, but man, he's not a Pro Bowler.
no, he is not. Yeah, the Pro Bowl needs to be disbanded. We should just there's no point in it. I'm gonna say is that. Or do it like a couple weeks after the season. That way, like actual